Hello and welcome to the Bloodstained Ritual of the Night Randomizer Cinco Bingo Tournament. We've got an exciting losers bracket match here between TheDarkist and Vrukiel. My name is Alucard2004 and I will be commentating this match here. Pretty excited. We are about to reveal the brand new card here, so we'll get that set up shortly. All right, and these players are just readying up, and we're going to get going. TheDarkist will be green here, and Vrukiel will be purple, and they're trying to accomplish 5 different bingos, which means rows, columns, or diagonals, in order to accomplish the goal of this game. So that's the Cinco Bingo aspect here. And the players may have to do all sorts of things like defeating bosses in certain ways. They may have to obtain items, collect shards from enemies. All enemies have different powers, which means that they have different shards that they have over the course of the game. And if they collect certain shards, then it can help them move around the map better. It can help them do damage better. And some of them might be on the card itself. We can see the card up on the screen right now. In the top left corner it says collect Tornado Slicer and Toxic Form Shards. So in the vanilla game, those shards are on specific enemies, but in Randomizer, those enemies have been completely randomized, like where those shards could be. There's also a shop in the town of the game and a crafter where you can craft all those shards as well, purchase items, do all sorts of things. So there's a lot of different aspects of this game. It can be a bit overwhelming at times to wrap your head around, but experienced players can enjoy like the awesome movement mechanics and items that kind of make up the intricacies of an awesome randomizer. So we start out on the Galleon Minerva here. It looks like we have a pretty strong start early on, where Zangetsudo, a progression item, is on the ship. Pretty awesome to see that there. It's a lot of damage. It's like a late-game weapon. Plus, it's also required to get into the late-game parts of the game, the Den of Behemoths and the Glacial Tomb. Those two areas are completely locked by the Zangetsudo. You might be able to get in the other ways. Past, but we don't allow any glitches here. There's no major glitches allowed. The other thing we did see, TheDarkist pick up there on the Semas, was some Alkahest. So that's pretty exciting to see Alkahest so early. Alkahest allows you to deconstruct items in the crafter to get other items, and those, like the crafter, is entirely randomized. And so you might be able to get some really powerful gear really early on. It doesn't get you shards, but it gets you equipment. So that will certainly help. We did also see that the Semas do carry the Dandelion familiar, so that's some good. That's a good familiar to get early on. It kind of helps boost your damage, and might just help them out in different ways. It can also attack and do things. You can have basically a pet on the screen. And you can see that book flying around. That's the Dandelion there on Vrukiel's screen. So this is the early part of the game. On the ship, they're just kind of going through. There's a boss that's in the way that they'll have to kill, and then they'll end up in town, and then they'll start moving through the game in other directions. Looks like we hit a bone toss on the bone mort there, so might be vanilla, which is interesting. And Vrukiel did just get that ectoplasm drop off of the Sema, so that's a good indicator that Alkahest is available there. Also has to be a little careful of health early on. We don't have a lot of health. We are playing on hard mode. That is the requirement to play this enhanced randomizer. So enemies hit pretty hard in hard mode, and so you have to watch your health early on. Food is something that you can consume in this game. They give you permanent buffs, but they also, what they do is they heal you instantaneously. We're seeing a warp here at the boss, which is actually putting Vrukiel in a bit of a bind, being at very low health. So has to really clutch out this Vipar fight, or needs to go find a save. Toronto could warp back to the beginning and try to figure it out that way. That's another option, potentially. But has to be really careful here. This is kind of like do or die right now for Vrukiel, so... Darkist is kind of half health, has a little bit more of a cushion. But hopefully, Vrukiel gets a really nice pattern here. There's a very predictable pattern for Vipar, and allows you to do a significant amount of damage quickly. Each of those hits do 50-something, versus if she's on the right side of the screen, it would only be like 20 or 30. You can see 32 there. And Vrukiel actually takes down Vipar. Very nicely played. Got a really good pattern to start the fight off, and makes it. Just needs to survive these next couple rooms, and pretty much good to go. I would definitely play cautiously here. I wouldn't even mess with that rat at this point. I would just go. Yeah, there you go. Alright, Darkist has elected to farm some of these other enemies on the ship. Makes sense. You want to try to clear the game as much as possible, like while you're in those areas, so that you don't have to double dip or backtrack. It's always a good idea. But kind of the town here is your home base, where you can really like power up, and you know, all the items in the shop and the crafter are randomized, so you might find some really good gear early on that gives you luck, might give you other stats like strength that let you do more damage, or you know, defense and things like that. Now Darkist is farming up Alcahest right now. This is a really good idea, but also getting really low on health, so it needs to be extremely careful at the moment, because you don't want to lose all that progress. Anyways, so Vrukiel is looking at the shop, looks and sees that there's a lot of food there available. Probably going to pick some of that up. Again, food instantly fills your health in this game, so it's really OP. It's really overpowered. So you want to be consuming that if you get low on health as you're just playing through the game. And it can help you do like damage tech strats and stuff too, which is super neat. Anyways, let's get back to the card. So the card looks like there's actually a good number of shards on this card, because I see Tornado Slicer and Toxic Storm shards in the top left. We have to collect shards from both Puppy and Rocky, which are dog enemies in the game. You don't necessarily care what shards they have. They could be Tornado Slicer or Storm or Toxic Storm or anything else really. So if we get to those enemies and they're in different places, and we take them out and get their shards, then we do get an objective on this card. Defeating Scythemite using only Summon Insect is here. So Summon Insect is another shard that you can get. Meeting a ghostly friend in Celeste room. We're gonna have to be on the lookout for a Celeste key. Ooh, nice. Darkist got the same RNG. Definitely want to take advantage of Vipar's position here, because you can do a lot of damage early on. Very nice. Meeting a ghostly friend in Celeste room. Yeah, there's a Celeste key that you can pick up as an item in the game that unlocks a room that's in the library of this game, and you can pick up another objective there. Defeat living fossil using only Bone Toss. We've actually seen Bone Toss already available, so that if they go down to the desert, then they will be able to accomplish that objective. So that's a really good find early on, and it's a corner square. Generally, the middle and corner squares tend to be a lot better in Cinco Bingo, because they can hit multiple bingo lines a lot easier. So the corner squares, you know, hit the diagonals as well, which is really nice. Have 3 different books from OD simultaneously. The OD is the librarian, so you do want to go visit him a few times and grab some books from him. Those books actually power your character up substantially, so it's not a bad idea to do that regardless of if this is on the card. So that's kind of a nice benefit they get from having to accomplish this objective. We also see collect Partisan, Shovel, and Ariad Bar. Those are different spears that exist in the game. We have Fly Trap and Welcome Company shards. So those are other Conjure shards, the red shards that you might see in the game. So we'll be on the lookout for those. Aqua Stream and Amphibian Speed are some directional shards, the purple ones, that players can aim and target enemies with, like Bone Toss that Vrukiel picked up there. So that's a nice pickup for both of these players. Collect Petra Ray, Reflector Ray, and Void Ray shards. Man, there's so many shards on this card that need to be collected. So get all those rays. Then we've got Cerulean Splash and Thrashing Tentacle shards. Defeat Bloodbringer, Buer, Caraboss, Dandelion, and Dullahammerhead using only familiar shards. So we do have the Dandelion familiar. It's not a very good familiar at attacking other enemies. It's better at powering Miriam up, our main protagonist here. So probably not the best one to use. Not the best familiar to use to kill enemies, but certainly an option. I would certainly recommend getting Silver Knight or Bloodbringer, but again, those are randomized on enemies. Now, the Silver Knight is on a Shard Candle, and the Shard Candles have not been randomized in this randomizer, so there is an opportunity to pick that guy up and power him up. But they do need to level up to do any sort of substantial damage, so it's worth getting him early and leveling him up, and then going for these objectives later. And that's one that you want to think about your routing, because you're going to be killing a bunch of different enemies with those familiars, so you want to be able to catch those enemies on the way rather than going back to them, because every double dip you do into areas will cost you time. Alright, right in the center square is collect Pick Expertise and Dagger Expertise shards. Those are going to be really critical and important. The center square of any bingo, allows you to do the most bingos. And so since we're playing Cinco bingo, it's a big deal to hit that center square. So these players are going to want to look out for those. Collect Galleon Map. That's just a map item that's in the game. If they do find it, they'll get an objective here. Probably one of the easier objectives, but that map could be hiding anywhere, honestly. There's a nice Valkyrie sword pickup there for Vrukiel in the entrance area that he is going through now. Craft 2 differently named shards, so you can actually craft shards in this game, and that could be another way that these players get some of these shards as well. So crafting 2 shards might be really important, and honestly trivial when you have to find all these other shards. You may want to be looking in the crafter to try to get going on that. So that's a really nice tile for these guys to have when there's so many other shards on the card. Collect double jump, invert, and high jump shards. Those are great movement shards anyways, so those players want to get them. So if they hit those, then it'll be nice, and they'll have a bingo tile as well. Collect Tissera Zion and Void Ray. Those are beam attack shards, directional shards. So those are actually really strong damage shards in this game. So you may see some of these players using that if they do find them. But also, it's an objective here, so good on them. You also see that the Void Ray shard in that column 2, row 4 combos with column 5, row 2. So if they find Void Ray, they kind of get a 2-for-1 on those, which is nice. Defeat Jeeble in Game Over. There's a boss in the Hall of Termination, Jeeble, that is really interesting, because if you kill him and defeat him, you actually game over the game. It's part of the game mechanics in Bloodstained that you need to cut the moon behind him after dealing him a certain amount of damage. You see that it pays homage to Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and maybe some of the other Koji Igarashi games. So, you want to... this one you get from actually losing to Jeeble, more or less, or losing the game, so... that will allow them to accomplish that objective. So once they get to the Hall of Termination, we may see them going for that. It's not too bad to take out Jeeble that way. Collect 2 differently named tiaras. So if they find some tiaras throughout the game, or if they're able to purchase them in shop, or use Alcahest to deconstruct them, or craft them from the crafter. There's so many ways to get the items. Maybe obtain them from quests in town, then they'll be able to get that objective. Defeat Tracer using only Summon Tracer. That objective is in the final area of the game, the Glacial Tomb. So they need to find the Summon Tracer Shard, which could be on any enemy, and then go use that on a Tracer deep in the Glacial Tomb. So that could be kind of tricky, because do you want to route all the way to the end of the game? We have the Zangetsudo to get there, but you also have to have some other movement in order to accomplish that. So we'll see if any of the players go for it. Collect 6 differently named resist passive shards. So there are some passive shards in the game. They usually just give you passive bonuses like, you know, strike resist or dark resist, light resist. Those kind of things are what they're going to be on the lookout for that objective. Johannes is a friendly vendor in town that allows you to craft different things. So you can go talk to him and you can do deconstructing with Alkahest, or you can craft certain items, and you can also prepare food with Johannes. So that allows you to go to Johannes, or that tile means you need to go to Johannes and prepare 5 differently named consumable dishes. So ones that are not already in the shop already. That's pretty much the definition of new consumable dishes. 500 MP just means you need your total magic mana points to be 500. Right now they're sitting around like 200 something, so that's fine. And then defeat 2 differently named treasure chests. There's a mimic enemy and a death trap enemy in the game. They're in different locations. Each of them are in 2 different locations. So there's options depending on what the players find and what movement and what decisions they make throughout the game. So they can go defeat those to get another tile here. Probably one of the easier tiles on the card. And then we have collect, drain, and optimizer shards, some more yellow passive shards that we'll be on the lookout for. So there's a rundown of the whole card. It's a lot of information to process for these players. They're going through and they're thinking about what makes the most sense. Vrukiel hitting craft work in the garden. It looks like Darkist is just kind of catching up. Spent a little more time in the shop and with the Alkahest deconstruct, so it makes sense. And then also hitting high jump on the Blood Knight there. So that's gonna really speed up movement. Accelerator, which we start with, which basically allows you to go fast. That's that blue streak animation you're seeing. For this tournament, we get to start with Accelerator, which is really nice. It's usually a very late game shard, but Bad Moons has created this randomizer and allowed us to use that right off the bat, which is amazing because it just allows you to go fast. So good stuff there. But yeah, with high jump, you're going to be able to reach a lot of height very quickly. And we'll probably see that coming up as we go to later parts of the game. So that's a really nice shard for them to have. Might mean they're able to move through this game quickly and try to collect as many shards as possible. Because again, it looks like this is a very shard-heavy card. There was a Valkyrie Tiara there in the Cathedral. So that's one of our 2 tiaras as well. So that's something awesome that we picked up. Darkist is going to be baiting this frog into this Iron Maiden. Really nice tactic. And is going to get rewarded with that gadget band there in that chest. So early on, we are just looking for movement. Craftwork being a shard that gets us across the ravine here in Garden, that same room that Darkist is in. But high jump allows you to go see additional areas like the ones that Vrukiel's exploring. So there's some higher level enemies here for sure, because the game expects you to be able to take them on when you get that high jump shard, to be able to do a lot more damage and withstand a lot more damage. So these guys are hitting for 100 plus damage right now. So they have to be really careful with their health as they go through these rooms. But looks like made it through okay, and probably going to try to farm some of these shards. The other thing that Vrukiel has found, it seems, is the coveted Jeebel's Glasses. Now, Jeebel's Glasses is an item that allows you to use any shard in the game for free. And that includes the Accelerator that we're blue streaking on right now, and shards like this Fald Siu, I think, is what Vrukiel's using right now. So it lets you do damage really quickly, which is really nice, and it lets you not really have to worry about mana management And if you can get that potentially through deconstructing, you can get it through purchasing in the shop, you could just find it. And that is just an amazing thing to have this early on in the game. So they're going to be kind of sailing fast through this. And again, with that high jump, they're going to be able to really get through this. This is a really fantastic start for them, especially on a card that requires so many shards. Look at that kind of damage output that Vrukiel can do, and with the short hops, you can shoot those things even faster. Really nice tactic. So Darkist is kind of following suit, going through Garden, but maybe playing a little more thorough, like killing every enemy, trying to collect every shard along the way. Makes a lot of sense. But it has to be really careful here. There's a Inferno Breath, a really good shard for doing damage, but really needs to watch the health here. Eat some food. Don't die. That's the key here. Also hits the craft work there in Garden. Very nice. So, yeah, both these players having Jeebles already, it should be a breeze. I'm sure they're going to be looking for some shards to upgrade their damage output. Again, those Void Ray, Tisro Zion, those Ray Beam attacks are extremely strong. There's another shard that is a Conjure shard, the red ones, called Hellhound. If they pick that one up, that's probably the highest DPS output in the game. So be on the lookout for that one. So it looks like Vrukiel is going to be working on cleaning out the rest of this entrance area, maybe jumping into Upper Cathedral shortly. This route kind of indicates that. There's a Flame Scarp up there. Let's also see this Zangetsu fight from TheDarkist. Pretty free with this Inferno Breath shard just burning him down. Normally, your mana would drain very quickly there. But again, Jeebel's glasses coming in handy here. Very nice. There's Inferno Breath for Vrukiel. Very nice. And there's High Jump for TheDarkist. So now they're both kind of on even footing in terms of the movement. Darkist is lagging behind a little bit, but has spent a little more time in the shop and the crafter. So pretty even. We'll just have to see where they decide to go from here. Cathedral can be a little bit tricky to do early on if you don't have any range damage shards. The Fold Siu is pretty good for that. There is also an opportunity to go across the garden and go a different direction here as well. So there's some routing options for them, and they can kind of pick and choose which way they think is best. Looks like Vrukiel has taken down the Craftwork boss and is going to keep moving through here, maybe try to get the rest of these shards in Lower Cathedral, or deciding if he wants to go to Upper Cathedral. Darkist following suit. Alright, Vrukiel stopping in at the barber here. Offers to basically allow you to, like, upgrade your character's appearance in whatever way you want. So you can change your hair color, your suit color, your eye color, your skin color, whatever you want. It's there for you, so having some fun. It's a really cool part of the game. So much customization you can do there with the color wheel that they have. I like it. It's not an objective on the card, but you know, you gotta play in style. That's the way to do it. So unfortunately, this Inferno Breath does force you to, like, stop yourself in your tracks when you use it. Darkest did just pick up the Faltayab Shard. I think that one might be worth using instead. You can spam that quite a lot. It's really, really good, and that's the one on the Killer Barbers there. You can just hold the button down, honestly, and just kill everything quickly here. Very nice. Oh, there's Flamethrower. Flamethrower is really good at boss killer. You can spam that one to do even more damage than this thing is doing. Alright, so... looks like Vrukiel is trying to get the Viewer and Killer Barber shards here. And Vrukiel is pushing on into the upper part of Cathedral now. So this part's a lot more dangerous. These enemies do a ton more damage. You can see that Lance armor did like 100 damage. I think it's a little dangerous with the amount of food that they have, but they do have Jeebel's glasses. And they could try to work their way through it. It's a little tricky though. We'll see if they're up for the challenge. I would definitely consider getting some food. It looks like Vrukiel is maybe thinking about going back. Unfortunately, there's no warps there, so it's really hard to get back to town to buy food. So this is actually a tricky thing. The randomizer does randomize the locations of the saves and the warps. And so in this position, you have to run all the way back to town and then run all the way back if you really want to go there. But if you run out of food and die, you're losing even more time. So you have to weigh risk-reward there. There is another play here to just ignore the Cathedral and then maybe go to Garden instead. So that's another opportunity as well. I think that might be what Vrukiel's thinking. Because maybe like an easier part of the game. I have good damage, so I can just mow through things quick, get a lot of shards fast, and then maybe go to Cathedral later. There is an opportunity to route in Cathedral from the entrance area, so I would definitely consider that. Alright, so we're going to cross that ravine here in the garden. We'll check out what's on the other side as Darkest continues farming Cathedral. It'll be interesting if Darkest decides to push into the upper Cathedral area, because he is in that room. Vrukiel, interestingly, not getting the save or warp. That's basically in the room to the left there, so could have maybe had an opportunity to snag a warp, which would be really valuable, I think, in this position, but maybe just forgot to peek in. It's okay. There's some opportunities coming up here in Tower and Library to potentially find some warps. Hopefully they can find some so that the map isn't hard to traverse. Looks like Darkest is just farming up the Faltayab Shard just to do more damage and trying to kill this viewer at the same time. So nice double duty there. Because the more shards you collect of something, the more damage it does effectively. So, or it powers it up in certain ways. For damage shards, it really just does more damage. So it's a good strategy. There's Cerulean Splash on the Cyraith, which I believe is on this card. We do need to get Thrashing Tentacle as well, but that's a really nice find. Great find. Okay, so Vrukiel has elected to head down towards the underground. There is a waterfall here with a bunch of items, if he so chooses. Looks like maybe just farming the toads for now, grabbing some Alcahest potentially. Yeah, you can use the door there to kind of go in and out. Pretty good strategy. Maybe just want some Alcahest drops because that'll allow them to deconstruct for potentially some good gear. The thing is, they actually already have really good DPS right now. Like, maybe they could use some better armor. So they're not getting a lot out of that Alcahest at the moment. It might give them a tiara a little quicker, but they might just be able to find that over the course of the game. With the card being so shard heavy, I think it's a good idea for sure to just continue pushing forward. Maybe get some food in town if you can't, and keep moving. So there's the warp. That's a really nice warp. This is right in front of the train area. I don't believe we found the silver bromide, which is the item required to unlock that train, so we're going to have a little bit of trouble getting in there right now, but there are some unique enemies here early on. Vrukiel is starting the battle right now using the Bloodbringer to try to take out the viewer, so there's a little bit of a Pokemon battle going on right now. Deciding to bail on that tactic. I think that's maybe correct with the warp being there. Since the warp is actually right there in front of those enemies, power up your Bloodbringer familiar first. Like, let it level up as you just kill enemies over the course of the game, and then come back and it'll just maybe 2-shot, 3-shot that enemy for you, and then that tile will get accomplished way quicker. So I like the strategy. Just bail on it and come back. Alright, so looks like Vrukiel's heading back to town. Darkist is kind of following suit and did pick up the warp there in the garden, so that's a nice little quick access to the front of garden and potentially to the entrance area. So that was a good heads-up play. Now we're going to have to see where he goes from here. If he commits to the underground, or maybe he pushes on forward to tower, or just returns to town. That could be another option, just like Vrukiel is doing. So very even fight so far. You also do want to be on the lookout in the crafter to see if new things pop up. It looks like Vrukiel was able to craft whip expertise, which I don't think is a task on this card, but having certain shards unlocks crafting additional shards, so you do want to have as many shards as possible, so that's always a good idea. Very nice strategy. Alright, so Vrukiel looking in the shop here. Sometimes you want to look for certain materials that might help you craft certain shards. Maybe you can deconstruct some of those materials. Looks like he's maybe purchasing some cheap ones, so he can try to obtain some better equipment. Meanwhile, Darkist is now in the underground. There's an imbrued bone. Get a shortcut off this candle, and there's some new enemies down here that we can potentially farm in order to get some new shards. So I'm excited to see what happens down here in the underground, and potentially could do a lot here. This area is quite large, and there's a lot of different enemies. Some of them are underwater, so we don't really have a good way to swim right now, so we may not be able to do that. Need to look for that deep sinker or aqua stream, or maybe invert allows you to basically invert yourself and swim underwater as well. Okay. I guess the whip expertise did count for like one crafted shard there, so that is a big deal. Nice HP bonuses everywhere early on here, really bolstering their hit points. I like it. MP up, not so useful when you have basically infinite MP with Jeebel's glasses, but, you know, you don't say no. So, good pickup. And they're probably also tallying different things over the course of the race. So they may be making some notes and just trying to puzzle out what they want to do in order to keep moving through the game. Um, Maybe looking for this partisan shovel and Ariad bar. That might be a thing to do in the crafter early on here. We might be able to deconstruct. It looks like we already have a partisan, so that's really good for Vrukiel right now. Just has to find the other two and then gets an objective. Alright, looks like we got Darkest Stream back, has emerged into the garden again. He's going to be farming some of these enemies close to the train. There is one enemy that still has Accelerator, and Darkest has managed to find it on the Zagan there, the cow enemy. Very nice. Oh, and there's the Galleon map for the Darkest in the tower on the board right now. Very nice. Very early pickup. I don't suspect that Vrukiel will miss that because it's kind of early on in the tower. Tower is one location that players do tend to skip sometimes because unless there's objectives immediately in front of it, it might not be worth it. But in this case, that tower, that Galleon map in the tower is pretty close to the start, so kind of have to run through this area in order to get to the library, generally, unless you go around the long way. We do have a play from Vrukiel to go back to the ship. I like this. So, gonna collect some of the items that he couldn't get before using the high jump. So that's pretty interesting. Doesn't look like really got anything too much for it. Not sure what shards he might be missing from this area. Maybe considering farming Alcahest here as well, but just gonna go through and try to full clear this area. Very neat idea. Yep, there's this area here early on the ship. Looks like it didn't have too much there, so a little bit of a miss, but a good check anyways. And now you don't have that lingering over your shoulder all the time. There's Red Remembrance, another shard there. Draconic Rage off the Buer armor. Okay. Really hitting a lot of these shards nicely and quickly here with some clean movement and Fall Tayab in the tower. Really nice play by Darkest. Looks like Vrukiel is missing the Dullahammer shard right now, so is looking to pick that up. And also looking to farm up Bald Siu to a high level. Not a bad plan. It'll help it do more damage as you move through other harder areas of the game. So, a decent strategy if that's the shard you're planning on using for a while. Yeah, the thing I don't like about it is it might get eclipsed quickly by some other shard, but it is doing a substantial amount of damage, so I do commend this play. All right. Okay, found a little better place to farm. Looks like Darkist is trying to figure out what's going on with the shards there. I think he's got 3 resists already. He's got Cerulean Splash. He knows he picked that special one up. That's a really good hit there. His Dullahammer just isn't giving it up. Okay, there it is. I just had to say something. There's another resist shard. That's good. Darkist also accomplishing some quests here, which again can unlock additional items. So basically, Lindsay here gives you a bunch of quests to kill a bunch of monsters. You go kill those monsters and come back, and she'll give you some item rewards. So that could get you the spears that you need, could get you a tiara. There aren't a lot of items on this card, so it may not be super valuable. But it could even give you a dish that you could deconstruct that isn't in the shop. And then immediately afterwards, you could prepare it again. Like, that's a sneaky tactic. So there's some cool tactics you can do to kind of speed things up here. Looks like we do have the ability to purchase Alcahest. So Alcahest is even freer now. I'm not sure if they crafted it or not, but that is a huge opportunity to get whatever you really want in the game. Item-wise, it's a huge deal. They just have to have the money to support it. And in some cases, you can have infinite money, which is even crazier. Okay, so Vrukiel is now also on the board, having found that galleon map. Very nice. Pickup. Tied up the game again. And again, we're looking for 5 bingos. So now that they have the map, which might have been kind of like a wild card square, it's like, if I find this, well, then maybe I can start considering getting some bingos with it. Now that they have it, that might play into how they want to route all of this, because maybe they want to be searching for, I don't know, certain types of shards a little bit more than others. It's tough because the enemies have different shards, like random shards, so you can't really predict anything. But you can start forming strategies. Maybe focus on tiaras and defeating those treasure chests a little bit more, because that's on that column 4 there. But then you have to find Aquastream and Amphibian speed shards, so maybe it's a little tougher. It's hard to say, but now both of our players are entering the library Libra Ex Machina. Vrukiel taking a second to pause and has decided to go back the other way. Maybe pushing on into Upper Tower. Interesting. So there are some unique enemies here. Plus, we do have the boss Valak, which is that Inferno Breath shard that we saw earlier. I did see a Warhorse key in Libra Ex Machina, picked up by TheDarkist, so that unlocks the Revenant boss. Very late game hard boss in the game. With their loadout, they should be able to take it down no problem. Double jump on the carriage mort there. Really nice hit. That is the second of the skill shards that we need for that column 1 row 4. So if we hit invert, then we're good to go on getting that objective. Plus we have pretty much all of the movement that we need to get through the game. So this is fantastic. The combo of having high jump and double jump is huge. So great pickup there for Darkist. Looks like Vrukiel is going to put on that Aegis plate and go through these spikes. The Aegis plate allows you to guard against all environmental damage. So that could be lava, it could be spikes, it could be guillotines, it could be swinging axes. Any environmental damage is blocked. So that's really a nice find and a nice thing to wear in certain areas of the game, like what you saw Vrukiel do there. Darkist now moving towards the boss Andraelphus, or Andy. Maybe gonna have a little chat with with OD, and pick up one book. But in the tower there, Vrukiel found the invert shard. So now we have knowledge of where all 3 of those skill shards are to accomplish the objective. So Vrukiel needs only to pick up the Carriage Mort shard, and Darkist needs to pick up the Poison Toad shard. And Poison Toad can be found in a couple different areas. Same with the Carriage Mort. And here's the Andy fight. Gonna be pretty trivialized by this Jeebel's Glasses plus Valtayab combo. Unfortunately, has to get in melee of Andraelphus, which can be pretty brutal. Andraelphus kind of moves very quickly. Normally gives you double jump when you defeat the boss here. But Darkist takes him down, no problem. Gets just some firearm expertise as the reward. Fortunately, there is a warp here over by OD, so it will be easy to pick up these books. So that's also a very nice feature. Looks like Vrukiel has found a Rigastorima shard. That's a nice one. If you power it up, you can do a lot of damage. There's Augment Mind on the Rulshas. And Deep Sinker on the Dantaline. Holy smokes. They found all the skill shards between the 2 of them. That's amazing. They are all very early games, so like the world is really their oyster. They don't have Dimension Shift or Reflector Ray, which are directional shards that allow you to, like, you know, get through tight spaces and stuff. So that's the only downside right now. But man, is this some nice movement to have on hand. They can just plow through the game now. Darkist has got to be feeling pretty good about not doing the Upper Cathedral play and going straight into Library. This is huge. Vrukiel probably feeling pretty good that he hit that invert in the tower. Like, that's a big deal. Not that he's going to use it that much, but more for the card. Because high jump kind of eclipses invert in most scenarios. Darkist now pushing on in the upper side of the library. And there are some enemies like these maledictions here, and the doing a little swirly dance. I like it. And also going to be taking out this dragon enemy here shortly, I imagine. Meanwhile, Vrukiel is fighting Valak, the twin dragon boss. Very trivialized by invert. You can just invert and avoid all their attacks, so... It's a pretty early boss in the game. It looks like a very menacing one, but it's actually pretty free. Even if they didn't have invert, it doesn't do a lot of damage, and you can take it out. It has maybe 2,000 to 3,000 HP. It is kind of a little bit more on a script, though, so it does this thing where they clash together, and... that's pretty much signifies the end of the fight. There's another resist shard for the books for Darkist. Very nice. Alright, let's see if this Valak play paid off. There's a lot of time spent, but... hey, it's very thorough. I like the play. Got a bunch of items. Augment strength, not the best there, I would say. There's a Steel Lightning Greatsword. It's alright. And Darkist has taken out a Mimic now. That is the first of the treasure chest enemies. Trying to get the shard there. Oh, wow. Silver bromide being basically French vanilla here. And in the Aegis plate chest, normally it's in that chest that's on the floor. But silver bromide in the chest up there in tower, so that unlocks the train. That is a huge play from Vrukiel to find that there. That is not an easy thing to find. Because you have to commit to that play. And Aqua Stream for the Darkist, really nice find on the Mimic. I mean, the game incentivized you to kill those Mimics, but not necessarily to get their shards, so that shard absolutely is important here. As if we get amphibian speed as well, then that is an objective on the card. In addition to that, it does allow you to swim underwater and do some good damage, so hey, double whammy. Can't beat it. Alright, Vrukiel now having cleared the tower, feeling probably really good about that bromide play, has elected to go to the library and kind of follow suit. We'll see if he wants to chase that bromide. I certainly would, because that is a huge advantage that he probably has right now over the Darkist. And there's a number of enemies that are on the train and past the train that certainly are unique to those areas. Darkist finding even more movement now in the upper library, finding the dimension shift, which is pretty much the best movement you can get in the game in terms of where it allows you to go. It's not the fastest, but it's still good. Vrukiel now hitting double jump, completing the trifecta of skill shards. And snagging himself a nice objective there, so probably not one that he expected to get as early as this, but probably feeling really good about it. Looks like Darkist is intending to move forward and defeat Bloodless here, I think. Gonna go for it. This is a pretty tough boss, but again, with their loadout, should be pretty trivialized. You can just kind of hold this Faltayab on Bloodless's face for a while. You just have to be careful. She does do a lot of damage and can knock you back a lot, so we'll see how this goes. But probably has some food in order to de-risk the fight a little bit. Like, taking those hits in the face, ugh. Well, okay, he's got plenty of food going on here, so that's great. This Bloodless fight's kind of tricky too, because it has two phases, so she's gonna bloodsteal and steal all the blood from all the walls and the floor and stuff, and that heals her for a lot of damage. But since Darkist is doing so much damage here, he's basically skipping phase 2 of this fight and just moving right along. So really nice, clean fight from Darkist. Got hit a couple times, but honestly, the damage boost helps speed things up. So I like the play. Got a nice warp there in Upper Cathedral, so can kind of return anytime he wants, maybe deciding to route more cleanly through the rest of the library. Very cool. I like how this route is evolving. Vrukiel with a maybe a little bit slower, but consistent Andraelphus fight here, using Faldsiu. I think the Faltayab is definitely getting the job done way faster. This Faldsiu, I think Vrukiel is hoping to find an upgrade for that soon, because Darkist is going to kind of get through the enemies a lot faster using this Faltayab. So we'll see how things go. Vrukiel bonking OD here. Try to get some of these chests. Having a little trouble, but gonna go grab a book first. Deadeye Tome, certainly great with directional shards. Allows them to do a ton more damage. Good choice. And here we go. Vrukiel returning to town. Good opportunity to cash in that bromide. And maybe set up for a train play. Darkist is going to keep pressing on in the upper parts of Tower and hopefully Hall of Termination here, so it's really great. MP up there. Looks like Vrukiel is looking at maybe the preparing dishes piece of this, looking at some deconstruct options just to try to power up gear a little bit. Ooh, that full tie-up is hitting like a truck. Very nice. Okay, so Vrukiel has crafted 2 shards now. Decided to craft a bunch of the Silver Knight shards. Very interesting. Maybe planning to power the Silver Knight up to do the familiar shard damage. That makes a lot of sense. And now Darkist is fighting an Abyssal Dragon, the boss here in Livra Ex Machina. The funny thing about Abyssal Dragons, it becomes a normal enemy later in the Den of Behemoths. So there's an opportunity to get a shard later in the game, but if you are so lucky, you can get it right now when you beat this fight. Doesn't look like Darkist had that luck. So maybe going back to save or refill. Moving right along. So this could be a play for the Den of Behemoths or the Glacial Tomb from Darkist, potentially. Is a bit of a tough area of the game, but Darkist is heading to the Hall of Termination where Jeeble resides, probably going to get that game over. Ooh, and there's Tornado Slicer, that's an important one. Yeah, we can game over Jeeble, so we're going to be looking out for that. And in addition to that, it does... Once they beat Jeeble the correct way, it's going to unlock the Den of Behemoths and the Glacial Tomb, which has a lot of shards. And again, this is a shard-heavy card, so I like the play, but maybe their damage output isn't quite there yet. They might not be ready for that. I'm not sure. It depends what they're feeling. They could really make an aggressive play and go for it, or they could play, a little more safe and hang back. But their movement is exceptional. Their movement right now is amazing. So they can kind of do whatever they want. There's a Rude Shard. Ruinous Rude there. Darkist using some cool dimension shift tech to get through these areas. See how powerful dimension shift is. You can basically fly with it and allow you to get through areas quickly. You can get across walls and stuff. It's huge. Vrukiel probably getting a chuckle out of seeing Accelerator there on the Zagan. And now moving into the train area. Hopefully has unlocked that from OD. I did not catch that yet, if that happened, but if it did, then he should be able to continue, no problem. But also, there are some enemies here that he wants to farm. There's this puppy. This puppy is extremely important, as it is on the card here. We want to collect shards from Puppy and Rocky, so I'm probably going to stick it out until he gets it. And there it is. Got the viewer familiar. Alright, we've got the whole pet family. And there's the train play. The train let him in because he's got that bromide. He's pressing his advantage as much as possible. Train's also a really good play because it unlocks a lot of items as well, and both in the crafter and in the shop. So it's worthwhile to go through. It's not really a hard play. It's kind of an early game area. And it has a lot of unique enemies. And especially with where that bromide is, pressing that advantage seems like a really strong one. So, let's see what's here. Only downside is if this doesn't pay off, you're kind of stuck doing all this work for 5-7 minutes, something like that. Darkist is picking up the rest of the shards here in Hall of Termination, and saving, importantly, and then hopefully going over to Jeeble here. I guess if he wants to keep some of that stuff, he probably wants to save again. And then he's going to do as much damage to Jeeble as possible and take him out, and then game over. Then probably reset and take him down the right way
next time
by cutting the moon. So we'll see that here in a second. Vrukiel just taking out this train boss. This train boss always drops the hammer knuckle shards. This is the limitation of the randomizer. And there's the fault tie-up, just going for it. Probably gonna take him out here soon. Get a final strike from the Bloodbringer. Game over. RIP. But also, an objective. And now, Darkist can just resume from his save and can proceed. Now, normally in the randomizer, if you die or reset, you lose the progress that you made, so you'd lose the objectives that you'd accomplished, but there are a couple exceptions with this defeat Jeeble and game over, and there's also another objective that is Die to Veil, which is the final boss of the game, which does require you to have a decent amount of movement in order to get there. Alright, Darkest slices the Blood Moon there, revealing that Gremory was controlling Jeeble all along, and now can move into Den if he so wishes. But it looks like we're maybe going for an 8-bit play here from the Darkest. It's a pretty tough area of the game. These enemies hit pretty hard, but you can see it's in that cool old-school Castlevania, NES Castlevania style. And there are 3 unique normal enemies and 1 boss enemy that drops a shard. The boss can be very challenging. They do have the movement and the damage in order to take him out quickly. I think Flamethrower would do a ton of damage in this position. Definitely consider that. He doesn't have Invert. Invert would definitely help there, but we'll see. See how he decides to handle it. Or maybe he can just Waystone out if he has a Waystone. He can just go back to town, warp back. Okay, there's Vaskia. Now, Vrukiel is heading over into the secret sorcery lab here. Or no, underground sorcery lab. So there's some of these unique enemies that he's looking out for. Ooh, Dark is not getting the shard from the 8-bit ghost there. That's really unfortunate. You have to pretty much go all the way back through this whole area if you want to try to get that again. So it's kind of rough. The 8-bit zombies that he's farming now, they do spawn infinitely. So that one he should be able to farm no problem. There it is, the healing shard. So at this point, pretty much that's all he can do. But has to be really careful in this fight coming up. There's Augment Int on the Gusians, that monkey enemy. Looks like Vrukiel has 5 versus Shards. I saw there, could be 6. I'm sure he will hit that very soon. Darkist has to be really careful on this boss. It is not a trivial boss. I think maybe Vrukiel might have forgotten he had double jump, or I thought he got double jump there, so. Gonna farm this macaron enemy, big cat. Ooh. That was Bolide Blast? That thing does a lot of damage. It's a pretty strong one as well. Doesn't have the range of False CU that Vrukiel's using right now, but certainly a strong one. You can see that this 8-bit Overlord fight is ramping up considerably. Dark is having to chug that food, try to make it through. Manages to take out the 8-bit Overlord. Doesn't look like got the shard drop. Release Toad on the Bathin fight there. And nothing too exciting, unfortunately, for completing 8-bit there. Looks like Darkist is gonna head back to town, probably load up on some food after consuming a bunch from fight. And we'll see where he goes from here. Cashing in those quests, good idea. You can get some more money from selling some of that stuff, potentially, too, which is good. Oh, so there's Toxic Storm. Interesting. Okay, so Tornado Slicer is up in Hall of Termination, I believe, on the Titanias, and then the other fairy enemies here in the post-train area have Toxic Storm, so they each have one piece of the puzzle, and then they can get that top left corner square. Very nice. Alright. Looks like Vrukiel is backtracking through this area. Maybe no warps, so has to just deal with the fact that he has to walk back through the train. Could consider fighting the Kune enemy. That enemy's pretty troll and consumes a lot of time. Probably not worth their time, but does have the option. Probably the worst enemy to farm in the game. You have to wait through a, 3-minute cutscene in order for that enemy to spawn. You sit on a chair and you just wait. I'd be surprised if we see Vrukiel do this.
What would you like to buy?
Okay, you went right by it.
Is this here you are?
Okay, what you doing, Darkist? You going tower? Is this a tower play? It's back to library. Maybe pick up another book. Vrukiel maybe going back to town. Yeah, we're getting a tower play here from Darkist. I like it. Hopefully hits this poison toad here on the way. Snags that invert. That would be really great. And then finds that bromide. That bromide is huge. It also locks the toxic storm, which is a big deal on this card. That'll snag him another objective. So, yeah, tower very worthwhile today. Okay, looks like Vrukiel is starting to prepare some dishes here. Do some additional crafting. There's invert. Probably feeling really good about finding that. Amazing that these guys got all three of those early. Amazing. So the crafter ends up being a bit of a puzzle. You gotta figure out like what makes the most sense in order to deconstruct, purchase, whatever you want, in order to accomplish your objectives. So in this case, being able to get through crafting these different foods is really important. So purchasing the right stuff from the shop to deconstruct, or to just purchase from the shop directly, is critical here. You can buy rice, you could buy flour if it's available, you could buy halite, which is salt, basically, and do what you need to do. Oh, I might have jumped the gun here. I think maybe Vrukiel was upgrading his Silver Knight and enhancing its rank, not its grade. So I'm going to have to remove that objective for now until he crafts one more. I think it's going to happen soon, but for now I will remove it. That's my mistake. Alright, so Darkist about to fight Valak here, and we'll also see a Dimension Shift locked chest here over next to Valak, which is kind of cool. That's an additional check that he gets for coming here after finding Dimension Shift. That could be a big deal. Okay, got some additional halite and sugar, which could play into crafting a little bit, but nothing too critical. Seeing the same invert tech from Darkist. Really strong strategy. Alright, Vrukiel is heading off again somewhere else. We'll see what he decides to do. We see that he still has that Toxic Storm. He's got the Bone Toss there. I think he's really close on the resist shards. He might have it. We'll see when he hits one more. I'll probably check it out. Sometimes it's hard to track these things because they're moving a mile a minute. But, we'll get things tracked correctly. Looks like we're going for round 2 of the Pokemon battle. So, yeah, there we go. That Bloodbringer's starting to rip into that viewer. Very nice. Darkest takes out Valak, no trouble at all. Okay, Vrukiel's taking out the viewer. Now we're gonna work on the Caraboss instead. And Darkest about to pick up that Silver Bromide. It's French Vanilla location. What an amazing place for that.
Dimension shift! Dimension shift!
You'll see that Galleon map chest actually respawns. Some chests do respawn in the game, and that's just the way it is. So there are potential opportunities like farm items that respawn in this randomizer. It's kind of neat. Alright, so Vrukiel just wrecking everything with darkness and fire now. Got some good DPS. Would definitely try to enhance that Registorima if you could, because it increases the range of it considerably, but hits the Reflector Ray on the Simian, the monkey. That's one of the trickiest shards to farm, so that's actually a big deal. It also helps him, since he doesn't have Dimension Shift, get him into like some side areas that he may not normally be able to get into. So, very nice find. Looks like Dark is just planning his next move, trying to figure out where to go. Sometimes you just gotta tab out and think a little bit on these bingos. What's the right play? Gonna go snag another... Oh, gonna turn and get the pass plate. Gets a second book. That's good.
I'll go with this.
And then later, OD will allow him to get another book, but he needs to come back. Okay, Vrukiel is pushing underground a little deeper now. I think this is a solid choice. I think it's really between that and going up to Hall and Den. We know that Vrukiel is missing out on Dimension Shift in the Hall library, upper library area, so that's something he's gonna not have going into the rest of this underground, but still has pretty good movement to get through it. We see Darkest is pushing that train play, so should be getting that Toxic Storm Shard maybe the next 5 minutes or so, and that'll definitely make him feel good about making the choice. Okay, there's another resist shard. I'm calling that done. Oh, maybe not. He's only got 5. He's only got 5. He does have kick expertise. We'll be looking for one more. It looks like Darkest did get the puppy shard, so that's good. Checks that box. Needs to go down to Desert for Rocky. These guys have deep sinkers, so they're able to sink to the bottom of the ocean here and collect chests. And that'll also help Vrukiel head down to the Desert and Inferno if he so chooses. There's Death Cry on the Shovel Knight there. Shovel armor dude. We'll see how Darkist handles this train fight. Should be pretty trivial. Looks like Vrukiel has decided to farm this room for Alcahest, perhaps? Not a bad strategy if he feels like he needs it. I guess maybe for a tiara. If he knows what he needs for that, that could be a good option. Alright, and here we go into the second part of Train. Let's make sure Darkist picks up that Toxic Storm Shard. That'll probably put some other things in play for him. He'll probably be feeling pretty good about getting all those books from OD and making this train play. Maybe consider that Calm 1. He has some pieces of that puzzle. This is a nice way to farm this assassin. Very nice. Just walk through the door. Kill him. over the stairs. It's taking a while, but that is something we haven't really touched on too much, but there is RNG in this game, so like one player might hit the shard first try, another player might hit the shard 20th try, but randomization kind of equals out over the course of the game. There is luck, a luck stat in this game. It's hard to put a lot of stock in that luck. Ooh, Optimizer on the assassin. I'm not sure if Vrukiel will hit that or not. We'll have to see later. But that is a big deal. And there's the Toxic Storm immediately for Darkist there, snagging an objective for himself. Alright, maybe Vrukiel is content with the farm here. I think we're probably going to see a desert play here shortly. Looks like he wants to go underground. He's heading straight for it. And there are a lot of enemies in these areas, so it's really good for shard farming. We did also find the Celeste key there, down in Train. I missed that. So that is a big deal, because that also accomplishes an objective for us. There's the Ruinous Rue that we saw. Darkest hit up in Hall. There's Bowline Blast. It's a pretty nice boss killer, honestly. Could be used over the course of the game, too, if he wants. Looks like he's thinking about it for this boss. It kind of stun locks the bosses, which is really good. Okay, and there's 6 for Vrukiel, and he does have the Optimizer. Excellent. Awesome. These guys are just hitting these shards left and right. They're racing through this game. Really strong play. Alright, so bathing down for Darkest. Vrukiel's kind of showing us the new stuff here, using Aegis Plate to defend himself in this underwater area through all these spike traps. Just deals with all that environmental damage, which is nice. Really nice use of Dimension Shift and Invert there. Nice combo. Vrukiel actually using Reflector Ray since he doesn't have Dimension Shift, so this is slowing him down a little bit. But he is heading down to Desert. Again, there's this Bone Toss option with the Living Fossils. So that's kind of probably what he's thinking towards. But also trying to make sure he's got all the shards he wants while he's down here.
So, what'll it be?
Maybe looking for that Scylla, the clam enemy there.
I'll go with this.
There's definitely a few in this area, so not a bad place to farm.
I'll go with this. Oh, what would you like to buy?
Unfortunately, they don't take damage until they open up, so it's a little annoying.
Oh, what would you like to buy?
What are we transmuting this time?
I'll go with this.
But being thorough here can really be rewarding.
Stop back off.
Again, since shards are so important, I like the thoroughness. I like the play. You don't want to lose out on that.
This time.
I'll go with this. I'll go with this. I'll go with this. I'll go with this.
Okay, Darkest is enhancing the rank of some of his shards right now. Do need to look out for if he is going to be crafting some of them as well. But that objective should be pretty easy to do for these guys. They have alkahest and stuff. They can get the materials to craft whatever they want, more or less.
Scrumptious.
Vrukiel having a lot of trouble getting the shard, unfortunately. That's slowing him down a lot. There are a couple of better places to farm this, I think. This isn't bad because you get to hit multiple things, but finally gets the double hammerhead familiar there. I would call that not worth, but you never know. It's all randomized, so I think it was a worthwhile endeavor, and now can keep moving. Looks like Darkest has decided to change his damage output to Tep's Osseous, which is a really good lightning-based shard. I like the play. And now we're going to see a dip into the desert area. So here we go. This is the living fossil right here. Vrukiel's going to equip that Bone Toss. Take him out. Start it up. Made it easy to identify. And there it is. Looks like maybe Darkest needs a couple more resist shards here. I'm sure he'll get there. It's not too bad. There's Standstill. That can be a pretty powerful shard, but unfortunately, that means you're not using Accelerator. So, generally, Accelerator is going to be your faster option. Alright, Darkest might be chasing Vrukiel down underground. Has a pretty nice weapon in the form of Tepsosius, though, so we'll see how their damage output stacks up with each other. Vrukiel is coming over here to check on this item. I don't really see a reason to go for Alfred. Oh, that's an interesting place for the corn seed, potato seed, rice seed drops, or chests, so that's kind of cool. And now Vrukiel heading back to town. Maybe load up on more food, maybe head in a different direction. Because he still has some stuff up in Hall on the table, and could even potentially go for a den play, if he so chooses. Maybe gonna go ahead and plant some of this in order to get it started. It does take about 5 minutes for each of those to grow. So if you get it going now, then you'll have a bunch of rice later that you can prepare food with. This is a really smart and clever tactic. Very nice. And looks like Vrukiel does have 2 tiaras now. Very nice. Valkyrie tiara and silver tiara. Well played. And perhaps looking for that column 4. We did see Aqua Stream is available, I think, on the Mimic itself, so that is one that Vrukiel may not have right now, that I know Darkest does. But he could get it in Libra Ex Machina later. Really liking this Tepsosius play from Darkest. It's clearing all these small enemies very quickly, which is really good for just getting through these rooms. Meanwhile, Vrukiel is continuing to look through the crafter, trying to find a way to do something. I guess maybe craft a shard. There's another resist shard for Darkest. That's excellent. Haven't really been paying attention to their mana numbers, but it looks like Darkest does have the 500 MP, so that's pretty good shape. Once Vrukiel's out of this crafter, we might be able to see how much he has too. Vrukiel not quite there. Has not hit the MP ups. But that's okay. And I think Vrukiel might be electing to go back to desert area and continue on. There is an objective on the card that kind of makes them want to go a little bit deeper into the Inferno area, which is also underground. there is the defeat the 2 differently named treasure chests, and one of them can be found in the Inferno area. Now, it can also be found in the Oriental area, which right now Vrukiel does have the ability to get there with craftwork and high jump and invert. Doesn't have the dimension shift, but could go the other way. So there are options here. But there are still a lot of shards down here, so probably still worthwhile. I like to play. There's Petra Breath, but not Petra Ray, which is what we're looking for, really. Oh, but there's Kick and Dagger expertise. That is a center square right there. That is a beautiful find. Very cool. Alright, so now with the center square in play, that's like kind of a big deal. Because that's going to open up a lot more bingo possibilities. Wow. What a play there. And Darkist is following suit, so it may end up hitting that as well very shortly. Vrukiel actually taking the time to farm the living fossils here. It is a bit time-consuming to go through here and do this, so it is tricky, but we'll see what he decides to do. Switching over to Flamethrower, actually a really strong choice. It does a lot of damage really fast, but it has a particular arc to it where it only goes down. Also getting the Halite drop from that living fossil, very interesting. And finding the Summon Hellhound shard from the living fossil, that is the best damage shard in the game. Just straight up. You'll see how much it does. Now, without upgrading it, it can have a bit of a tough range to it, so I think it would be wise if Vrukiel went back to town, upgraded that pretty soon, maybe when he hits the warp here coming up. Because then he'll just be able to use that across the whole screen, killing everything always. Like, it is just the best damage shard in the game. So that farm on the living fossil really paying off here for Vrukiel. Darkist is here too, so like they're here at the same time. It is possible that he hits that as well. Let me go ahead and mark that for Darkist here. And, yeah, these guys are just flying through the game so fast, hard to keep up.
Here's what I've told.
So, what'll it be?
Looks like Darkist might be looking for a tiara here. It's a decent idea right now, because that will advance his objectives. Meanwhile, we're going to be watching on Vrukiel's screen to get the shard from the Rocky on the first try. Very nice. Wow, that was immediate. That was the most immediate it could have been. So that's yet another objective, but you gotta, now's the point where you need to start, like, stitching together objectives to see what you can do. Again, this being such a shard-heavy card, Might still need to find a few more things before they can really close this out, but we're getting into the end game here, where they need to decide what bingos they're really going for, and it could just be one shard or one item that can tip the scales. But right now, this desert play, Vrukiel's got to be feeling really good about it because he got the center tile, so he has a lot more open to him. He does need to get up to Hull to get his Tornado Slicer, but I could see a situation where he gets top left to bottom right if he snags that drain off of some enemy, maybe in Den or in Inferno here coming up. We will see. And that hitbox on that Summon Hellhound really causing some problems there for Vrukiel, so really hope he goes and levels it up soon, because it's really going to make a big difference. Okay, so let's see if Darkest ends up getting the Summon Hellhound. That'll really help his DPS as well. Really changes the game. But it looks like he's maybe only farming the living fossils that he comes across, which is not a bad tactic. Maybe the last one you encounter, you just go for it. Oh, there it is! Summon Hellhound immediately changing to turn it on to do all the damages. Again, upgrading it is extremely valuable here. It just covers the entire screen, and you get to kill everything. Alright, so our players are on pretty much the same footing, which is good, in terms of their DPS. See what Vrukiel decides to do here. You can invert and go up there into Inferno. He's going back to town. Hope he enhances. Darkest is doing the same thing right now. So it's funny to see both of them just like going back to town same time after doing desert. Like, it is worth doing. Looks like there's some shards craftable. So looks like Darkest has accomplished that objective. Very nice. Vrukiel's looking more to the food angle. And here comes the enhancing bonanza of Hellhound. Very nice. Vrukiel grabbing some rice there that he planted and grew. Makes sense. Needs to go into prepare if he wants it. He's maybe looking at the shard crafter right now. Oh, maybe he crafted that dagger expertise. Okay, I think he might be there. I must have missed that one. We'll give them both the craft 2 shards, I think. If they don't have it, they're gonna get it. The other thing bonus you get from crafting the rice ball and farming all that rice is you can cash in your rice ball to Susie here. And you might even be able to make a pizza and cash that into Susie. So you get, like, other rewards from getting your food done, which is really good.
What are we transmuting this time?
Vrukiel slashing the air there in Jubilee. I don't know what's going on. But we got both of our players trying to make food, so I guess we'll just let it play out. Okay, Vrukiel's heading on over, presumably to Inferno. And I think Darkest is on the way there too. Got a flying dagger. Maybe just realized, oh, I can upgrade my hellhound. This happens to me all the time. I'm like, oh, my hellhound's still like tiny. Yep, there it is. Got plenty of gunpowder and hopefully some rubies to enhance the shard here. You can see Darkest Hellhound is way bigger. And Vrukiel's will be shortly as well. Looks like Vrukiel's gonna upgrade Flamethrower. That can machine gun down some bosses a little faster, which is good. Oh no. Darkest left that shard at the door, but if you collect the shard from an enemy and you don't act like if you get the shard drop from an enemy but you leave the room without collecting it, then it still shows up in your enemy list, in your demon list. So you're able to see what it is, which is nice. Darkest now working on the Rocky, and actually this is a really efficient farm. And there it is, the Feral Claws from the Rocky. Darkest making quick work of this area, while Vrukiel is now pushing into Inferno. Again, there are the death traps over here, the treasure chest enemies, so probably what they're looking towards. And I think Darkest is going to follow suit, especially with their damage output. They're going to be able to get through this easy. For some reason, the boss of this area is, like, vulnerable to fire. That doesn't make any sense, but that's just what it is. So, Hellhound's going to do even more damage to Ouroboros, the boss coming up here, as we'll see Vrukiel take him out. Really liking this Teps Osius plus Hellhound combo from Darkest. It's hitting really hard. It's really, really, really nice. And there's the Ouroboros fight. Trivialized by Jeeble's glasses and Hellhound. Amazing. There's upbeat heat. I guess that makes sense for this Inferno area. And we're about to see a death trap taken down. There it goes. I suspect Darkest fight is going to be similarly trivial. Oh, there's the Drain Shard on the Death Trap. Wow, very nice. Things are coming along real nice here for our players. Look at them, they're in the same exact room. 1 hour and 48 minutes in. Amazing. Unfortunately, the fire elementals actually are strong against fire, so it's a little harder to kill them, but they'll get it done. So Darkest snags those 2 objectives at once, so things are really coming down to it in the endgame here. They gotta really focus on what's important. There's another resist shard for Darkest. I feel like he's probably there now. If he wasn't already. It's really hard to track these, but hopefully we'll see it soon. So yeah, preparing the dishes is actually really important, because that's going to be their first bingo, potentially. I can also see the top left, bottom right becoming a big O very quickly for our players. There's Pickpocket. That's a nice shard if you're looking for item drops from enemies. It'll give you better drops and sometimes additional drops, which is really nice, but not really looking for too many item drops. I think we're looking for Shovel Ariad Bar right now. I think we did hit a shovel. One of our players hit a shovel already. But I think Ariad Bar is still eluding them. And Darkist is saying, I'm done with this area. I don't want it. I'm going to go straight into the secret sorcery lab. So here we are. There is a boss here and a couple unique enemies. These Lamashtus, which just got the throw spear shard. Very nice. And there are also the dark elementals. Yeah, what's interesting is Darkist already farmed this dragon shard up in Libra Ex Machina, so Vrukiel is doing it now and managed to hit the shard pretty quickly. Also has Hellhound for it, so it makes it a lot easier. I don't think I've ever seen this strategy inverting on this ghost. Oh, Darkist using Standstill to take out the Doppelganger. That does do a lot of damage. Very nice play. Just summon Water Leaper as the reward. Nothing too exciting. Alright, Vrukiel maybe hitting the last shard he needed there from Inferno and then moving right along. Darkest looked like he was in the zone on the resist, so I will check him off there. Not sure about the kick expertise, dagger expertise combo, though. Not sure if he crafted that one. Or found it. There's Cerulean Splash for Vrukiel on the Psy-Wraith. Don't think he has the Thrashing Tentacle, but that was a good find on an early enemy, the Psy-Wraith. So, probably happy to have run into that. Darkest having the warp up near Hall in the upper cathedral area is now pressing maybe upper cathedral oriental. Could also consider the den play soon, because I feel like maybe some of the rest of these shards might be in the den of behemoths. So, you know, I think Darkest might be playing for no items at this point. Like, we see him picking up a couple things here and there, but he's really focusing on the shards. And this Teps Osius is making quick work of some of these early game enemies. Very nice. Because we saw him, like, breeze through Inferno and the Secret Sorcery Lab, so maybe just ignoring items entirely. That might be a pretty good strategy. The downside is the Partisan Shovel Ariad Bar. We'll see, maybe he has a plan. Amphibian speed on the light elemental. What a play there. That is a significant play from Darkist. And should have the Celeste key at this point, so honestly, that's another bingo. Wow. So if column 4 is a bingo and row 5 is a bingo, what else can we accomplish right now? That's the question. And we're seeing again, Darkist is just skipping the items and going straight for Oriental right now. Probably just going for shards. It's like shard go mode. Just gonna focus on the shard farm. Don't really care about the item farm. Just go. I like this. This is a pretty aggressive play, but a strong one. Just focus on what's important. Vrukiel might be a little bit ahead on some of the tiles in terms of the crafter, though, so he has that advantage, but he's fallen behind on shard farm. Nice warp there, up in Oriental. You can come back anytime. Just focus on the shard farm for now. Okay, Darkist getting in a pinch there, using a waste stone. Okay, maybe accidentally used a waste stone. Whoops. Really surprised not to see anybody in Den right now. I feel like Den's like wide open for business. I think this Oriental play is fine if you're just looking for shards. Just go in and go out. But Den has the most shards. You got Hellhound, you got G-Bolts. Like, somebody's got to go there soon, I feel. Here's Rigadoine. Throwing axe on the cat there, so not too important. Gonna challenge the carpenter boss. Doesn't have the key. Rip. I didn't think we had found that. I know we found the Warhorse. And we have Celeste, which obviously is important for bingo. So I think pushing on to those other areas pretty good right now. If you're trying to figure out what to do, go turn in your Celeste key. Go do things that you know you have to do. Go get your books from OD or whatever. You know, that's the best thing to do if you're like, I don't know what the next play is. Just buy yourself some time by doing tasks that you know you have to do, so you can get some additional objectives while you think. Alright, so Vrukiel is going back to Inferno. Maybe he doesn't have a convenient warp. He was just by one just like a second ago, so I don't know what's going on here.
I'll go with this.
Okay, and there you go. Darkist has gotten the third book from OD. He is well on his way to getting column 1. Just needs to find that thrashing tentacle. We don't know where it is. So, we will await. Maybe going for that Celeste key turn in. It's a good plan while you're up here. Yeah, get it done. Oh, checking this little side location. Interesting. Okay, no. Never mind. Oh, maybe Vrukiel missed Lamash too and didn't want to risk it. Okay, I get it. This is the best room to farm it. There it is, Throw Spear. It's a good shard, but it's eclipsed by Hellhound pretty much immediately. And there's a Waystone use. Get out of here, there's no convenient warp. Okay, I'm really curious to see where Vrukiel goes from here. Gotta start catching up on some of these objectives up in Hall and Upper Library. That's he's missing out on. Things could move really quick on Darkest side to close this out. But there's still time. There's still plenty of time. Alright, so here's Celeste's room. It's a cat. Hey, look, there's a cat. And there's a ghostly front. Don't think Darkest has 2 TRs just yet, but pretty close to accomplishing column 4. Needs to find Summon Insect for row 1. Needs to find Thrashing Tentacle for column 1. Need to prepare foods for row 5. So, I mean, it's all coming together fast. That's 4 bingos right there. Then the last one could be a little tricky. Depends if he figures out this whole dagger expertise thing. Oh! He got a silver tiara drop immediately. Maybe he was looking through to see what the enemy list was to determine the enemy that would have it. So that's a bingo already. Really clever by Darkest to find that enemy and farm that up. Well done. That's some top tier game knowledge right there.
What are we transmuting this time?
Okay.
What are we transmuting this time?
Okay, I think he's identified the dagger expertise in the crafter and is starting to think about what to do about that and if it's worth it. Well, if you get Thrashing Tentacle, then row 3 becomes relatively free. You gotta do some Pokemon battles or whatever, but you can do that. Meanwhile, Vrukiel is back on the ship. What's happening here on the ship? Alcahest? Aha. Okay. That makes sense. I thought Alcahest was in shop, and maybe Darkest crafted it. This is certainly the best place to farm these guys. Okay, we're gonna take on the Revenant boss, the Warhorse boss. Interesting. This guy drops a guaranteed shard, and we can take him out pretty quickly, so... Stand Still plus Hellhound, pretty good combo. He'll just continually take damage and die. Just True Arrow. And looks like Darkest is going to be taking on the Den of Behemoths. Cutting this second Blood Moon. Heading in with Jeebles and Hellhound. We're going to be taking out all these enemies and trying to collect all the shards, the remaining shards that he needs to close this out. I think it's a really solid play right now. And once Vrukiel kind of closes out his Alcahest farm, maybe he's going for the Shovel Ariad Bar combo there, then he might need to start considering that play as well, because he doesn't really have too many other places to go. He's got to go up to Hall, he's got to go up to 8-bit Den, Upper Library. I don't think there's much else. Upper Cathedral, maybe? I guess he hasn't been to Oriental either. Also looking for Alcahest to deconstruct so his food so he can prepare the food. That makes sense. You know, he's prepared at least like 3 things. Anyways, here we are in Den of Behemoths. Everything's huge. That's just the way it is. There's Summon Tracer! That's a big deal, because that is on the card, and could potentially lead to a row 4 or a column 5 bingo as well. So, Darkest has identified that, and is considering that option as well. We're going to do a quick race against the Harrier here, since we have Accelerator. He's the guy who gives us Accelerator when you win the race against him. We're just going to breeze through this real quick, and might even see Darkest beat him back to the front of the race, and then he'll just die and give us a shard. You just have to get to the end, and then you can come all the way back. What's Vrukiel up to now? It's got to be going to... Oh, he's going back underground. No OD, no haul. What's happening? He's looking for something. He's looking for something in a chest. Does he not remember that he has Zangetsudo? Is that the problem here? I hope not. There are a lot of items here in Underground. But again, like those aren't things that they're looking for right now. They're looking for shards. I think Darkest is playing this right. Some of these enemies in Den can be really annoying to farm. So he's gonna check in and see. There is one enemy in the game, random enemy, that doesn't have a shard as well. And identifying which one that is helpful too, because sometimes you might just be farming something you don't need to. Yeah, we do have the Welcome Company, but we don't have the Fly Trap right now. But that find on the Moko Weed is pretty good. I don't think that would really unlock any bingo either. Unless they find some other things. The Fly Trap is right next door! What? Amazing. Actually amazing. Wow, what a combo. Just immediately checking that box off. Again, just skipping right by all the chests, all the items. Doesn't need it. Oh, going back for something. Oh, maybe it does want the chest after all. Oh, maybe he's going for this frog drop. gotta be. Alright, is this an Oriental play? I see. Okay. It's not bad. It's not where the wealth of shards are, but it's a decent play. Okay, finally hit resist poison on the giant frog. That's a funny place for that. Okay. Doesn't want the chest? Just leave it. Picking up some cool sunglasses off the Abyssal. Okay. Should be a pretty quick Valifar fight here, especially with the standstill. Valifar still gets to attack, but unfortunately, he still takes like a ton of damage here. So standstill basically freezes the screen, and then Hellhound does a ton of damage, and then the damage from Hellhound just keeps ticking and ticking and ticking. So that's the cool strategy you see here. And there it is. Basically, you're freezing your own attack in place as well as the enemy. And there's the Thrashing Tentacle. Wow, what a big play in a den here for Darkist. This has been so good for him. And the game is now like, oh man, the game might be in Darkist's hands at this point. Like, he knows that he's really close. He's heading to that Tracer now, I think. And the rest of this Glacial Tomb. So Glacial Tomb is the end area of the game. There's some really tough enemies like Demon Lord, like Ice Elemental. There's the GX Outsider and the Tracer. So definitely have to be a little bit careful here. But we have Hellhound and Jeebel's Glass. This thing's dying of just a few hits. That Teps OC is taking out those elementals in one hit. That's really strong. Very impressive. Okay. 8-bit flame, not too exciting. A nice warp there. Means we can get back super easy. There's another resist shard. I'm actually really impressed with how well this Teps Overseas is doing. There's Tisro Zion. Oh snap. Still looking for Void Ray, I think. But that's one piece of the puzzle. Lots of resist shards down here in Den, so could have hit that objective pretty easily this way too. Hopefully we see Darkist take out the Tracer while he's here. Looks like he's setting up for that. Give them a taste of their own medicine, Darkist. Yeah, get them. Nicely done. Another resist shard, and we do have the Grummery fight available for one additional shard if they so choose. Maybe stop it on the Saber Warp. Yeah, like it. Still missing Scythe, summon Insect in the Scythe Might objective, so that could be an important one. Darkist using some sweet tech here to skip phase 2 of this fight entirely and take out Grummery. This fight can be pretty difficult and making it look easy. And there's Void Ray! Everything loaded here in Den and Icy Tomb. Holy smokes. What a deal. So that might be a game changer there for Darkist. If he hits this dagger expertise, he gets another bingo on the bottom left to top right diagonal. He already has 3 bingos right now. So, and then he could just prepare the foods for an additional one and call it a day, or you know, he could do the Pokemon battles to defeat Bloodbringer, Pure Caraboss, Dandelion, Dull Hammerhead, using only familiar shards, or he could go for the Shovel and Ariad bar, try to hit that for a top left to bottom right diagonal. So he has to really think about what makes the most sense here. I think spending some time in the crafter is probably the right decision, especially if he's identified that the dagger expertise is there. I think he's just heading over to the warp to try to get out of here, because he's pretty much done with this area too, and it all paid off. It all was just a huge success. Get some cheese there for his troubles. That's actually helpful for crafting too, so good deal. All right, Vrukiel, what you doing? I need to see you go to Hall and Upper Library right now. That's what we're missing right now from Vrukiel. Finished out the Oriental play, but I'm not sure why he is delaying the Upper Library and Hall play. He's coming back to entrance. Let's see what you got. What you doing? Flying through it.
Oh, what would you like to buy?
Going for Sabnock. Got it. I did see that was a hole in his shard list. Don't remember what was there, but I just don't remember it being relevant.
Here's what I've turned up on the monsters. Good. Oh, what would you like to buy?
I think he's just trying to figure out the pieces of the puzzle here. Does have Toxic Storm as well. So, okay, maybe he didn't realize he had that, and that's a really important as well. That he already has that left column bingo.
Oh, what would you like to buy? Oh,
Okay, he's starting to think about crafting food. This makes sense.
thanks, here you are.
Sell all your mats, get a lot of money,
Here you are.
craft up your food, and
Is this pleasure doing
that'll be it.
this?
Maybe.
Oh, thank you.
Get real close.
To buy. Is pleasure, is here you are. Is call, is here you are. Is here you are. Is here you are. Is here you are. Is this right? Here you are. Is call, thanks. Is this right? Here you are.
I like this strategy because you're basically like
What would you like
you're buying all the ingredients in the shop, and then you just see what you can make. Just go all out. Just see what you can do.
What would you like to
As a baseline. Then you can focus on like deconstructing
What
things
are we
and whatnot.
transmuting this time?
I'll go with this.
Okay, so there's like a chiffon cake. That's one.
Great.
That's it. Okay, he's got some rice now. Maybe he'll be able to do something else.
What'll it be?
I'll go with this.
Rice ball, good choice. It's two.
I'll go with this.
There's another rice dish there.
Great.
Two more. Could just be some Alka has deconstruct. That's all you need to do. You're set. I think maybe Vrukiel's beelining it to the upper cathedral. Pretty strong play. There's Faltayab on the Killer Barber there. Very early game enemy.
Oh, what would you like to buy? Oh, what would you like to sell? Is it call? Thank you. So here you are.
Oh, maybe this is the shovel enemy. Maybe Vrukiel has identified that. I know the Darkist got it somewhere. It might be this Ordog. I think it has silver in the table. I know it has sapphire in the table for sure.
What would you like to buy?
It's like sapphire,
Thank you.
shovel, the shovel knight armor,
Thanks. Is this
and one other thing.
business?
Flamethrower is going to be pretty impactful soon.
So, what'll it be?
Okay, here's the upper cathedral play. We're finally seeing this from Vrukiel. Very excited that he's finally coming up here because he feels like he's slowed down so much. But now he's hitting these shards. There's flame cannon. Hit the light elemental immediately and hit amphibian speed. That's really good. I think he still needs to get Aqua Stream, but those fast shard hits might bring him back into the game. He still has to get down to Den potentially though. There's a Carpenter key. It's a pretty terrible place for that. He's got to start moving. Darkist is farming the Alkas now, so working on preparing all those dishes makes sense. Vrukiel's already done some of that, but he has a lot of ground to cover here because he just hasn't committed to going to Den. Snags a Valkyrie dress. Very nice. Improving your luck some when you have this much damage is well worth it. Alright, so Darkist knows how much Alcahest he needs. He's farmed it. He's probably on the way. There's a millionaire key in the next room. Did we see this from... I don't think we saw this from Darkist, because he didn't have the access in Oriental. That's pretty funny. The keys.
I'll go with this.
Okay.
I'll go with this. I'll go with this.
There you go, Darkist. Very nice. Alright, that's another bingo. So just one more bingo to go. And he's all set. Probably lost in thought on what do I do? I need to get one more bingo. How do I do this? Where are the shards? Just has to get that center tile. That center tile is kind of the key here. That'll do it. That, or maybe consider going for Partisan Shovel Ariad Bar. I could do a quick... Maybe he's doing a little lookup to see which enemies have those items. You can definitely consult any resources you want online to determine where items might be in the drop tables and stuff like that. It's totally fine. You can't consult other people, but you can consult other online resources and stuff, references. So, okay, Vrukiel's finally here in Upper Library. Very happy to see this. This is where things can turn around for him if he hits these shards quickly and moseys his way back to Den. Finally gets the dimension shift there off of the Tri-Wheel Viewer. There's a silver tiara for him, but he already has the tiara objective. Guess he's being thorough, trying to farm Tamako Death. Makes sense when you're looking for all these shards. But Darkist now has a mission to go and get these shovels and Ariad bars and things. He also has to do all the Pokemon battling if he's going for this Column 2 route, so it's a little tricky, but he can do it. I believe in him. Okay, so we're doing some Pokemon battles. Fortunately, that Bloodbringer can troll you sometimes, get caught in the ceiling. So it's better to do this, yeah, on the ground floor. Generally the better place for it. Probably not inside the Moko Weed, though. There you go. Vrukiel is kind of cleaning up the rest of the Worth here in Library. Definitely needs to visit that Celeste room. Okay, this is where he's going to get his Aqua Stream, so that's going to be a big deal. So he'll pretty much get the bingo all at once. Does he not think he has a Celeste Key? Maybe he'll come back. He does want to go to OD right now. Probably one of the plays. I mean, he's definitely farming some of these other shards in this area, but he has Dimension Shift now. He can do it. So now Darkist is continuing the Pokemon battles. I think probably going to kill the Bloodbringer? Something else? What's going on here? Oh, is he going for Dulla Hammerhead? I guess I'll just need to watch and find out. I have no idea what's happening. You basically see a shouting match between two swords happening here. I might have missed it, but I think Vrukiel might have got his books now. Also Pokemon battling, huh? Okay. Took out the Dandelion. I know he took out the Caraboss and the Buer earlier. Not sure about Bloodbringer or Dulla Hammerhead. There's a Partisan drop for Darkist. I don't know if he's really looking at that. Going up to Hall. Maybe identified a spicy drop in 8-bit. Interesting. Circular Ripper there. I'm surprised we're not seeing Hellhound. This is fine. Ring drop? That might be a different drop. Ah, Platinum. So this is the Ariad Bar drop table right here. Quite possibly. There are other enemies that have Platinum too, so if he's identified it, then it's in good shape. Just have to hit. This is that game knowledge I'm talking about. This is really huge. Alright, nice Bloodbringer kill there for Vrukiel. But with that, I believe Darkist has 5 bingos and has completed the game. Got all the Pokemon battles in. Got the Partisan Shovel and Ariad Bar. The game knowledge really coming through there for him. As Vrukiel finally enters Hall. and snags the tornado slicer, cleaning up another objective.